And, significantly for our main topic, you can upload audio file, like MP3s or WAVs.
Yeah.
NotebookLM will transcribe these,
Wow.
allowing you to ask questions about recorded lectures or interviews or maybe meeting recordings. It basically turns that spoken information into a searchable database.
That's a potential game changer for anyone dealing with audio or video. Instead of having to re-listen to hours of stuff,
Right.
you just upload it and then query it like it's a document.
Precisely. And once your sources are actually in there, NotebookLM provides tools for what the sources call intelligent content creation based on that material. So beyond just answering your questions, the sources detail how it can transform your raw data into various useful formats.
Like summaries, obviously. Those are pretty essential.
Of course, summaries, but also more structured formats like bullet points, FAQs, timelines, even briefing documents.
The study guide feature sounded really useful, particularly for students.
It does, yeah. The ability to generate a comprehensive study guide from your specific lecture notes, your readings, your slides, all with a single click. That's potentially very powerful.
Yeah.
It automatically tries to extract key concepts, potential exam questions, important terms. The sources note this as a way to kind of simplify dense material into more actionable learning points. And one source even referenced some research showing that effective note-taking and review processes, that tools like this could correlate with significantly higher test achievement, something like 13% better outcomes.
Turning your personal course material into a tailored study guide instantly. That feels like a really practical use of AI.
It really does. And these generated outputs, the summaries, the questions, even if you pull out verbatim quotes, you can pin them directly to your notes within NotebookLM.
Okay, so it's integrated.
Yes. It acts as an integrated note-taking environment. You can save the AI-generated insights right alongside your own annotations. You can use NotebookLM to maybe help improve the writing style of your notes and combine different pieces of information, both human and AI-generated, into these cohesive summaries.
It also supports collaboration, which sounds crucial for group projects or teamwork.
Definitely. You can share notebooks with colleagues or classmates. You can set view or edit permissions and work together in real time, even leaving comments directly within that shared space.
So it creates this focused, shared environment for exploring and synthesizing info from a specific set of sources. All right, that gives us a really solid understanding of NotebookLM's core, purpose, and features. But let's pivot now to the feature we're really digging deep on today, the audio overview. Based on the sources, this capability generated a lot of excitement among early users.
It definitely seems to be a standout feature. At its heart, the audio overview takes the source material in your notebook, all that stuff you uploaded, and transforms it into a podcast-style summary.
And the format, as described, involves two distinct AI hosts.
Yeah, two AI voices. They engage in a conversation or a discussion that summarizes and explores the content you've put in there.
The goal being?
The goal seems to be making complex documents or, large sets of notes much more accessible and engaging through audio. It offers a really flexible way to review your material.
Right, like you could listen while commuting or exercising doing chores.
Exactly. It frees you from having to sit and read. It sort of makes passive consumption of your own complex source material possible in a completely new way.
So how does a user actually, make one of these, generate one?
The process is designed to be very simple, according to the how-to guides we looked at. Once your sources are in a notebook, there's typically a prominent Generate button, often labeled something clear like Generate Audio Overview.
Usually near the top?
Yeah, usually near the top of the interface or sometimes within a guided experience pop-up. A single click starts the process.
And out comes a downloadable audio file. The sources do note, though, that this process can take several minutes.
Yes, especially for notebooks with a lot of source material, which makes sense. There's a lot going on computationally.
Sure.
A really significant point mentioned is the multilingual capability. These audio overviews are apparently available in over 50 languages.
50! Wow.
Yeah, which dramatically increases accessibility for users around the globe. They can hear discussions about their sources in their native language, though one source did note that the main NotebookLM interface explanations, the buttons and labels, are currently only in English.
Okay, but 50-plus languages for the audio output itself is still really impressive. But what really seemed to grab users' attention based on the discussions was this interactive mode.
Ah, yes. This is arguably where the feature goes beyond just a simple audio summary and becomes something, unique.
How does that work?
After the initial audio overview is generated, you can actually engage with the AI hosts in real time. You can ask them questions. You can ask for clarification on points they made in the audio.
Wait, you can talk back to the podcast?
Sort of. You interact via text prompts, and the AI hosts respond within the context of that audio discussion, drawing their answers directly from your uploaded sources, of course.
So you could ask, like, hey, what was the key takeaway from that third paper you mentioned?
Exactly. Or explain that complex concept you guys just talked about, but like in simpler terms. The sources provide examples like these. Users describe this feature as particularly powerful and really quite impressive.
That interactive layer, that adds a whole dimension of active learning and exploration that a standard audio summary just wouldn't have.
Completely different experience.
What about customization? Can you, like, tell the AI hosts what to talk about or what to emphasize?
The sources indicate that users can provide some instructions to tailor the overviews. For example, asking it to focus on specific themes or emphasize certain terms, maybe exclude details from particular sources.
Okay.
However, feedback from at least one user suggested that this level of customization might be somewhat limited currently. It implied it's not yet a really granular control system, maybe more based on general prompts.
Gotcha. Still developing, maybe. And once you've generated this unique audio discussion, can you share it with others?
Yes, there's a feature to easily share audio overviews using a public link. You just generate the link with a tap or click.
But there was a catch.
Yeah. One limitation noted in the sources is that Google Workspace users, like people using it through their work or school accounts, currently don't have access to this public sharing functionality.
Okay. Good to know. So, the core idea is turning your stuff into a dynamic two-voice audio summary with this fascinating ability to then interact with those voices and ask questions directly about the content. Now let's get into what people are actually saying about using this. We've got feedback from those online community discussions and blog posts, a real ground-level look at user experiences.
And the feedback is quite diverse, as you might expect. It really ranges from pretty enthusiastic praise to some very specific criticisms about its current limitations.
Let's start with the positive. What were people liking?
Okay, on the positive side, a major theme that just comes up again and again is the incredible quality and realism of the AI voices.
Really?
Yeah, users use terms like lifelike, uncanny realism, and one even said the best voices I've ever heard. Many stated flat out that it actually feels like listening to a podcast and that the voices just feel like listening to humans.
That's a huge hurdle cleared for AI voice generation, which often sounds, robotic.
It really is. And beyond just the voice quality, users highlighted the natural flow of the conversation between the two AI hosts.
Ah, the interaction.
Right. They mentioned elements like banter, subtle laughs, acknowledgments, and these realistic follow-up questions that made the discussion feel less like a script being read and more like a genuine interaction.
Interesting.
The script quality itself was also praised. Users called it great, coherent, and insightful, with the host moving from one idea to another very naturally. Some even felt it surpassed certain human-hosted podcasts in its focused delivery.
Especially the lack of ads, maybe?
Especially, as one user noted, the lack of ads.
Okay, so the sound and the flow got high marks. What about its actual effectiveness for learning or understanding things?
That seems to be another major win, according to users. The feedback really highlights its utility in making challenging topics more accessible. People reported it helps explain concepts I didn't understand and is fantastic at dumbing things down when needed. One comment that really stood out was about how it really helps you jump past jargon barriers, making technical or academic stuff easier to grasp. Another user just felt it was a better way for understanding the information that matters most to you.
And the efficiency side. Turning lots of text into a shorter audio summary.
Oh, that was a frequently praised benefit. One user shared this experience of turning 120-plus pages of a research paper into a 6-minute podcast.
Wow, 6 minutes.
Yeah, highlighting its value for rapid literature review. They explicitly contrasted that 6-minute listen with the, much longer time it would take them to read and synthesize the same paper themselves.
That directly hits that problem of information overload we started with, a tool that can genuinely speed up your processing.
Users also noted its ability to find connections between different sources within a notebook. One commented that it did a good job of finding the relationships between different articles they'd uploaded on related topics.
Ah, so synthesizing across documents.
Exactly, surfacing insights they might have missed just reading them one by one.
The personalization aspect must feel pretty unique too, generating a podcast about your specific notes or even your own conversations.
Users described this as quite profound. Words like wild or meta came up. There was an anecdote about someone feeding in their own ChatGPT conversation history.
No way.
Yeah, and getting a podcast summary of that discussion. They said it felt surreal.
I bet. It sounds like it can even inject a bit of humor or personality sometimes.
Apparently so.
Oh.
The sources mention moments of unexpected entertainment, like the example of feeding in committee meeting notes.
Oh.
And the resulting podcast had the AI hosts making these subtle, almost humorous remarks about bureaucratic processes or librarians, while still accurately summarizing the meeting's content.
That's funny.
And another user found it amusing when the AI hosts, while summarizing discussions about AI's impact, seemed to voice this mock concern about AI taking their jobs as podcasters. A bit of meta-commentary that felt, again, surreal.
Okay, so the positives are pretty significant. Highly realistic voices, natural conversation, real effectiveness for learning, bypassing jargon, big efficiency gains, finding connections, and even moments of personality or humor.